All right, let's talk about Michigan State tomorrow. So huge game. Michigan State, two teams atop the Big Ten standings right now. Michigan State's coming off a big win over Purdue. Michigan beat Purdue earlier this year as well. They also got blown out by Purdue, but they came back and they beat them at home by a couple points. And Purdue's on a 3-game skid right now. We can talk about that later if we want. But this game it's to tie the Big Ten. If Michigan State wins, they tie with Michigan for the Big Ten, right?
They will be tied in the win. No, it'll be like 1 game difference because I think
Michigan State would be 13-3, and
yeah,
Michigan would be 12-3. So Michigan State would actually be ahead in
because
Big
then
Ten
they would be
standings if they
12 and
win.
4 if Michigan State wins,
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
12-3.
Oh yeah, because they've only lost 2. That's right. Okay, yeah.
If Michigan wins, Michigan State will be 12-4. So they'll be 2 games behind if Michigan State loses. If they'll be a half game up if they beat Michigan in this one. So I mean, how do you think this one's gonna play? Excuse me. How do you think this one's going to play out, Kent? Like, I mean, Michigan State has a number of bigs they like to roll out there, but I don't think any of them are really athletic enough to challenge Danny Wolf. Maybe Carson Cooper, he could hang with them on the perimeter. I mean, he's not the worst perimeter defender in the world. Danny Wolf is pretty quick though, so I feel like he could get by him, especially if you put Vlad and him in the pick and pop or the pick and roll situation. I mean, Trey Donaldson's been pretty good lately as well. He's going to give fits to the Michigan backcourt. Jeremy Fears Jr. apparently can't play against the zone. So, does Michigan go to the zone here? What's your thoughts?
Yeah, as you're talking through that, I was trying to find, what the best way that Michigan State could win this game. And I don't know why I was looking at it from that aspect, but because they have the 2 7-footers, I think that's where you have to start. And I think I would put Cooper on Golden, right? Like that would be the biggest. Like that's where I would start and then build around
you
that.
put probably Zapala starts, so you probably put Zapala on
Okay,
him, and then you probably
and then
switch to
Cooper
Cooper,
on
and then
Wolf.
Kohler on Wolf,
Okay,
right?
I guess so. That would be bad. I feel like Wolf would
Yeah, but who
work him
else?
on the perimeter. Yeah,
I don't know who else you put on them though.
I don't know. That's what I was trying to. I was trying to think through their lineup, like who I would put out there on him because if they have one of those guys on him, he's definitely going to stay out towards the 3-point line. I feel like, but in any scenario, it doesn't really matter to me because I think that if there's any team that I trust to make some defensive adjustments and give teams fits, it's going to be Tom Izzo because he can always get his guys to do something defensively that the other team hasn't seen. And I think that's what we're going to see tomorrow night. They're going to either like double Golden or they're going to, switch everything and just let little guys guard out on the perimeter. I don't know what they're going to do, but I trust him to have some sort of plan against this Michigan attack. As far as I'm not going to make a prediction, by the way, because I've been wrong on every prediction I've made on this show. But what I do think is going to happen is I think that maybe Wolf and Golden get theirs. And I think that the guards will struggle from Michigan. And that's where Michigan State can keep up with them throughout the game. And if they can shoot the ball decent from 3, which they haven't shown that they can most of the year, then I think that Michigan State can go in and pull out the upset in that way. That's what my plan would be. I'd just be like, let these bigs get what they're going to get. We'll do our best on them one-on-one, but let's take away everything from Trey Donaldson. Let's not let anybody else on the outside score at all. And we'll just see what we can do on our own end offensively and just let them go do what they're going to do down low and try to keep up.
I almost wonder if maybe you put Cohen Carr on Danny Wolf, and then the athleticism of Cohen Carr on offense is able to balance that out enough because I don't think Danny Wolf can keep up with Cohen Carr on
No.
defense, especially with how much he works off the ball. So if you do that, you might have a chance there. But then, like you said, switching and stuff like that might help as well. But I mean, at the same time, Michigan's just going to go to a zone, right? Like Dusty May's not stupid. Dusty May saw what Mike Woodson did, and he was like, "Okay, Mike, if this worked for you, this can work for me, right?"
Well, he did it against Ohio State. We talked about this. He did it for
Yes.
like 9 minutes straight against Ohio State, and they couldn't score.
Right.
So he knows it can work.
But
Like
I
he's
also
definitely
wouldn't
running his own tomorrow night.
Well, yeah, I don't think he's going to do it all game like Woodson did, though. Like, I,
No.
I think he's probably going to be one of those guys that like goes into the zone off the timeout, but then immediately switches to man, the possession after because Tom Izzo has different lineups for the zone versus the man. And so if he can go to zone and get Tom Izzo in one of his, you know, zone lineups and then go back to man right away, that could work out. But
I think
yeah,
he'll do the same thing he did, like out of a timeout. He'll do that, but then he'll be like, "We're staying in it until they score."
yeah, well,
That's because that's kind of what he did against, Ohio State on Sunday. Like
yeah,
they stayed in it for a while, and Ohio State couldn't find a shot. And then as soon as they scored, they went back to man.
yeah.
So I feel
That's a
like
good
that was
point.
the game plan in that game. So maybe he'll do that again. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Jase Richardson has to have a good game in order for Michigan State to win, in my mind. Like 3 point shooting, needs to shoot a high percentage, needs to get to the line. His free throw attempt rate is pretty good. It's not anything like spectacular, but it's pretty good, and he's shooting the free throw at a pretty good rate as well. What's his free throw percentage? I just saw it earlier. His shooting, yeah, he's shooting nearly 90% from free throw. So 87.9 right now. So like he's gonna have to be aggressive. He's gonna have to get to the hole. He's gonna have to get Vlad or Danny or somebody to foul him and get in some foul trouble. When you saw Ohio State, that was one of the only reasons they started having success against Michigan in the first half was because Danny Wolf got on the bench and they were able to attack the paint more because Vlad just couldn't keep up with the ball movement down
Yeah.
there. And Michigan State does excel with the ball movement. So if you can get Danny Wolf out of the game and leave Vlad on an island down there trying to protect the paint all by himself, you can score.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just really excited about this game. That
Yeah.
sounds like I'm taking like 15 steps back, getting out of the analytics of it and everything. But a game this late in the season with first place on the line, very exciting, very
Yeah.
exciting. And the cool part about it is they play twice still, so there's a chance that this isn't even the biggest game of the year for them or for the conference because they could meet. Like, what do they play in like 2 more weeks or something like that? And it could be the same scenario where they're both like basically tied, and whoever wins it is really going to have a stranglehold on the conference because there'll only be one more game after that. So very fun, man. This is the type of games that you look forward to where it's it's later, like earlier on in the season when it was two teams, like when Penn State and Purdue played, by the way, like way back then, like two teams that are like, oh man, they're fighting for first place right now, and it's like, okay, now we're in late February. It actually could be, for the conference championship on the line tomorrow night. It's really exciting. I can't wait.
Yeah. It's March in a week and a half.
Crazy.
It's March. So Ryan's here and he's talking about Wisconsin. I think Wisconsin is in
Oh
this
yeah,
conversation too because if Michigan State wins, you have Michigan sitting at 12-3, Michigan State sitting at 13-3, and then you have Wisconsin sitting at 11-4. Like it, they would
with
need
the
some
easiest
help.
schedule, by the way, coming down the
Right,
stretch, the
right.
easiest one by
Wisconsin,
far.
yeah. If they take care of business and they win their games at the end like they're supposed to, if you're a Wisconsin fan, you are praying that Michigan State and Michigan split these two games they have coming up to end the season. And then you're just praying that Michigan falters another time. Because if that happens, you're in a situation where Wisconsin is tied the conference record with Michigan and Michigan State as well. So
Yeah,
that's all you need. If you're Wisconsin, you are praying that Michigan and Michigan State split. Michigan loses one more time to somebody, and then there you go. You've won a share of the Big Ten title this year. I don't know who would get the first seed or second seed. I don't know the tiebreaker in that situation. Is it overall? Is that the tiebreaker?
as far as the seeding goes, I have no
Yeah,
idea. I think
I
it's
have
head
no
to head
idea.
first against like whoever you're tied with.
Oh, okay.
So
Which
it would go like head to
Michigan?
head. So if you're tied with Michigan, then Michigan would be number one over
Yeah,
Wisconsin, and then they would have to do a different tiebreaker if it's Michigan State as well. But I love Wisconsin. I'm so glad Ryan's here right now. We talked about this like 2 weeks ago or a week ago, whatever it was. They were under the radar and they're not anymore. Like everybody's locked in on them. I said if they won against Purdue and Illinois, everybody would be talking about them. And I did not anticipate them winning both of those games. I really didn't, I'll be honest. But after watching them play those two games, it's hard to sit here right now in this, like, whatever it is, February 20th, right now, even though we're talking about Michigan and Michigan State playing for the conference tomorrow night, it's really hard for me not to say that Wisconsin's the best team. I think that they might be. I really do, man.
I mean,
They're so tough
offensively,
right now.
yeah, offensively they are 100%. They have to have enough defense on top of the offense to make that happen. So Wisconsin actually has 5 games left. I was mistaken. I thought they only had 4 games left. They have 5 games left. Ken Pom has them winning all of them except for Michigan State. They have them losing by 1 point to Michigan State. So actually, in theory, if you are Wisconsin, Michigan and Michigan State split it. You go undefeated the final 5 games of the season for you, and then Michigan loses one more to somebody else, you're at least guaranteed. You would knock Michigan State out. You wouldn't even have a tiebreaker with them because you'd beat them if you go undefeated, and then you're guaranteed at least a tie with Michigan.
With Michigan. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm looking at their schedule right now. Their last 5 games are brutal. I just noticed this. Michigan State tomorrow night at Nebraska. Rutgers is probably the only one I would say is a guaranteed win, but then they have Illinois and Maryland at home, and then back at Michigan State is actually the last game. I thought they had one more game after that, but tough to go Illinois, Maryland, Michigan State to finish the year. Ugh.
Yeah.
Like, they're definitely not going to – I don't think they're going to finish undefeated. Or, like, I know they're not undefeated, but I don't think they're going to win the rest of their games is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, they got 6 games left. Yeah, I mean, the nice thing there is you only have 2 away games. One's against Michigan State, who you're going to play. So if you win this one, you feel better about it. And then the other one is at Nebraska, which Nebraska, obviously, very good at home. But they also just got blown out by Penn State. So that's a team that Michigan should be able to beat. But, I mean, these games don't give them very much rest, though. Like, if I'm a Michigan fan, that's the number one thing I'm concerned with here is just how little of rest. Like, they play literally every 3 days. 21st, 24th, 27th, 2nd, 5th, and they have 4 days to the 9th. You're playing. I don't want to hear
any complaining from them though, because we had a couple snow days down here in Tennessee, and my daughter and both my daughters and my sons, their tournament got pushed back, and if they win their first game, they have to go the next day and play. And I didn't hear them complaining at all. Like, they're ready for that action. So 3 days rest is like a lot. Like, they would be shocked by that.
Well, I want to make it clear. They're not complaining. I'm complaining for them. I'm not like you, Kent, where I am such a big piece of the fan base that I actually speak for them. That's you with Northwestern.
True. Yeah.
You declared that when you started making Chris Collins videos.
Yeah. If you see any Michigan people complaining about the amount of rest that they're getting, please DM it to me, though, so that I can explain to them that my kids are going off 1 day rest. And I'm sure that they'll change their minds.
Oh, yeah, for sure. There's no way they couldn't. Yeah, so Big Ten race here at the end. It's shaping up to be really crazy. Your next team after that is Maryland. They sit at 11-5 right now. I mean, there's a possibility. Purdue sitting at 11-5 too. Like, there's a possibility if things really go haywire for Michigan, Michigan State, and Wisconsin that they could get a share of the title there. But then you're also looking at those teams need to win all of their games as well. But yeah, so it's gonna be a really interesting end of the season.
All right, make one prediction. Let's make one prediction here as we finish up the show. Who is winning the conference? And you can name more than one team if you want to.
I think Michigan will at least get a share. They're just set up too well to not. And then Wisconsin. I'll say Wisconsin gets at least a share. Michigan and Wisconsin get a share.